On Whirlpool presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout powered by Dell. We're looking ahead to the game between the Sunrisers Hyderabad and the Kolkata Knight Riders. Joining me shortly, Tom Moody and Ajit Agarkar. Right, gentlemen, you know the drill. Both teams in a bit of trouble suddenly. Sunrisers had a few days off after their loss to Chennai. Kolkata need to bounce back at the same ground after going down heavily against Mumbai. Let's go to our statements. First up, Tom, we're saying that David Warner should score quicker in the power play. Thoughts?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. David Warner hasn't been playing as freely in those first 6 overs as what we've seen him historically do. I just wonder whether it's a combination of the surfaces that the teams are playing on, or whether it be the pressure of captaincy and the responsibility that he's taking as a bit of a burden. So I personally would love to see him play with that free spirit, because we know how dangerous he can be.
Yeah, we're seeing the numbers, Ajit. The strike rate is a little over 105 in the power play this season. It's not quite what we know of David Warner.
Yeah, I think that, but there have been quite a few sort of top order batsmen who normally score freely, who've probably had those sorts of strike rates. It's if you can go on and then cash in once you've gotten through that. I think also maybe there's a case where Bairstow's been going quite well, where Warner, I mean, as long as he's ticking along, he's quite happy. Maybe there's a little bit more pressure off the middle order, not quite doing as well as they would like. I don't have too much of an issue with it as long as he goes on and then gets a big one once he's set.
All right, our next statement is the big talking point no matter what happens to the Kolkata Knight Riders. Ajit, we're saying that Andre Russell must choose his bowlers to take on.
Oh, I think we've gone to the start of the tournament. I think that's what we said at the start of the tournament. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not at the easiest of tournament. I mean, I've watched a couple of their games, especially against Mumbai Indians, and the fast bowlers have targeted him. I think you can get away in places like a Bangalore or a Kolkata or in Mumbai, even with that sort of short pitch bowling. So he's got to be wiser. That last dismissal against Bumrah was an exact example of it. In that particular game, at least there was enough time on hand. So yeah, I think KKR will be expecting a lot more of him than they're getting at this point. And he certainly has to pick his bowlers.
As it turns out, Tom, this is an opposition where there aren't too many 145, 150 sort of bowlers. Khalil is quick, yes, but this is an important game for Russell.
Yeah, absolutely it is. You know, he needs to prove his worth, you know, particularly given that he's not bowling as much as they would like him to be bowling because he's carrying that knee injury. But, you know, I'd agree with Ajit. I think that the bottom line is that any batsman has to be very selective to who they target. There's certain bowlers they feel very comfortable that they can hit them for 4 and 6. I think the biggest challenge for Russell has been more so the bounce, the little bit of extra bounce on the surfaces in the UAE, and I'm not counting Sharjah in that. And that in itself has just, I think, disturbed his swing pattern. If he was in India where the ball doesn't bounce as much, you can guarantee he'd be clubbing those balls over mid-on or over mid-wicket. So I think it's just making that slight adjustment to the different surfaces he's playing on and being a little bit more selective against who he's targeting.
All right, let's go to our next statement. For the Knight Riders, they've got a few problems of their own. Tom, we're saying they should consider getting Kuldeep Yadav back into the 11. He hasn't played a game since the 30th of September when they beat the Rajasthan Royals in Dubai.
Yeah, it's certainly, I'm sure his name would come up in the selection discussions every single game, and particularly given now we're seeing the pitches slow down and take a little bit turn. I don't think you can keep him out of the side too much longer. He's clearly a match winner, and particularly in the middle overs, if he can, you know, spin his magic, gets the ball to turn both ways. He's also very difficult to read. He could be a real asset, particularly with Sunil Narayan looking like he's sidelined. We don't know how long for, but I think that extra bit of quality spin will be important.
Well, Varun Chakravarti has done a job, Ajit. You're watching these Abu Dhabi surfaces closely. Can they accommodate Kuldeep as well?
They should. I think he's a match winner, and particularly now at this stage of the tournament, I'm quite surprised that he's not played more games than he has. KKR seem a little bit all over the place with what's going on at the moment. We've seen Varun Chakravarti do well. There's no reason why Kuldeep can't.
All right, let's go to our next statement. We're saying that Hyderabad should retain 1 over of Rashid Khan for the death. Ajit?
I think it's all situational, isn't it? I mean, you'd want Rashid Khan to bowl 10 overs if you'd like in T20 cricket. Unfortunately, it's not possible. Look, you want him to try and bowl at the stage where he's likely to get wickets. Because if you get early wickets, anyway, it's going to be much easier to bowl at the end, whoever bowls. So I'm sure that's what Warner's trying to do, try and attack with him in the best situations possible, because you don't want him to try and leave his overs at the end, and while the batsmen cash in before that. So to me, there's no one set plan for Rashid Khan. I think he is your strike bowler, and he's got to bowl to take wickets, whatever stage of the innings it is.
Tom?
Yeah, look, I'd agree. I think at the end of the day, you want Rashid Khan influencing the game at the beginning and in the middle of the game. So the end of the innings, there's not that much damage because the damage has already been done with their power hitters. Rashid Khan historically has always been used as a matchup against the opposition's real threats. So I think Warner will continue to use him in that manner and make sure he's bowling against whichever opposition it is, always against their major threat.
All right, and our final point is, Tom, they made one change last game, the Sunrisers. They brought in the specialist left-arm spinner Shahbaz Nadeem. We're saying that perhaps they should consider getting Abhishek Sharma back in. Thoughts?
Yeah, look, I like Abhishek Sharma. I think he's a very good all-round cricketer. And what he does also give to the Sunrisers is someone at the end of the innings that actually can hit boundaries. And that is certainly a role that's been an issue for the Sunrisers for a number of years, having that impact player, just facing sort of 10 balls at the end of the innings that can, score a 20 or a 25. He is a clever bowler. He can gets the ball to spin both ways. I can understand why Nadeem has been given the chance because he's a pure specialist spinner. But I just think the all-round package of Abhishek Sharma is definitely worth one to consider.
Ajit?
Yeah, I mean, I'd consider him instead of Vijay Shankar. I mean, look, Shahbaz Nadeem actually bowled quite well in that last game. He can bowl at different stages in the innings, has the ability to bowl with the new ball. Is there a big difference between Abhishek Sharma's batting and Vijay Shankar? I don't think so at the moment. I know Vijay Shankar hit a couple of big blows last game, but I think I'd rather look at that option than removing another bowler. They bowled with 5 bowlers last game. Vijay Shankar didn't even bowl. So why not look at that option if you're really looking at getting another spinner or spinning all-rounder in the team? I'd probably look at that instead of replacing Nadeem.
All right. Thank you very much, Ajit Agarkar and Tom Moody, for looking ahead to this game between Hyderabad and Kolkata on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricinfo T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.